Today's Cowboys, we are breaking down some potential upcoming free agent targets for the Dallas Cowboys, namely 10 players who could become free agents if they are cut by their respective team. This is based on The Athletic and NFL.com's top cut candidate list. Not every name, but focusing more on some big names. Of note, cut players do not impact the precious comp pick formula teams like the Cowboys and Ravens as well value so heavily. That makes them very intriguing options because they also might be a little bit cheaper in the end. Before we get into the list, I will have plenty of free agency talk on my Twitter. When players get cut, you can expect an immediate yes, no, some capacity, and then more in depth on a video on it. Hit me up if you're on that platform at What's Going Downey. Let's begin with some wide receivers. Cooper Kupp is first up on this list. As I've mentioned before, I think there is a real chance he ends up getting cut by the Rams. He's got a significant amount of money owed. He's got a $12.5 million base salary. The roster bonus is 7.5. The current guaranteed is 5. I think teams would have some interest in Kupp at $12.5 million, but at that point, the Rams don't really save money. They're just kind of doing the same as they would if they were to trade him, and they want to work with Kupp. There is a real chance a release comes here for the Rams receiver. And if it's not, it's probably like a late-ish, maybe day 3 draft pick. The 2021 version is not what he is anymore. It's not who he is. The 2022, 2023, 2024 guy, that's who I think you're getting. That guy has value still. Don't get me wrong. But it's not the same household name he once was. Davante Adams, next up here. Now, Adams is going to get cut. It doesn't make financial sense for anyone else to go trade for him. Adams has a $38.34 million cap hit this year. The Jets save $29.8 million with a release. They save $36.25 if they release him with a post-June 1st designation. The post-June 1st stuff, by the way, player becomes available, but it just spreads out the dead money over 2 years. I would say it's just a normal release because it's still $30 million in savings there. And the Jets knew when they traded for Davante Adams, it was a rental. It was not going to be a multiple-year thing unless they had big success and Rodgers re-signed and all that stuff. And he's got massive base salaries. He will be released. Does he want to go to the Cowboys or not? Deebo Samuel, also on, I think this one's on the NFL.com list. Kupp and Adams are on both of them. Look, Deebo is, again, contractual issues here. Very much more complicated stuff, by the way. $15.83 million cap hit. They can save nothing really with a release right now. Now, if they trade him, it's a little bit more palatable. They still kind of eat the same amount of money. After June 1st, it's like $5 million. He's got a big fat roster bonus that's due. It's going to be spread over 5 years. That's why the cap hit is so low compared to just the savings there. Again, Deebo, much like Cooper Kupp, he's not the same guy anymore. His production has declined. You might have saw the Senior Bowl photo of him. He looks side profile like me. And that's not a good thing because I'm not an NFL athlete. I'm really a golf athlete. Like, I've got concerns with Deebo. But again, if these guys are cheap, playing a receiver 2 role, especially Davante Adams, yeah, I've got interest there. So pick a wide receiver for me. CK for Cooper Kupp, DA for Davante Adams, or DS for Deebo Samuel. If you wanted to get one of those receivers, who do you want the most? Sound off the pinned comment of today's show. Let's go to the Chargers and edge rusher Joey Bosa. Now, again, this is a lot of some of the reporting you've seen is stuff like The Athletic, where they point out, hey, Joey Bosa, and this is all known information, has a $36.47 million cap hit. The Chargers saved $25.36 million with their release. So there's no reason and zero expectation the Chargers would keep Bosa on his current contract. And given the fact that he has not been that productive or healthy over the past couple of seasons, there's no reason to think they'll give him a big fat new deal. So I do think Joey Bosa ends up getting cut. Now, does he go play with his brother Nick in San Francisco? That certainly would not be a shock. But if you can get him for that mercenary edge contract that you've given out in recent years, I am very interested in him. So too with Von Miller. Now, there's off-the-field stuff that Von seemingly has managed to avoid in Buffalo and not had to face much NFL discipline, and it seems like that's in the clear. But he wanted to be a Cowboy the last time. How about this time? Bills, again, probably want to adjust that contract, as The Athletic pointed out. $23.8 million cap hit. The Bills save $8 million with a release now, $17.4 after June 1st. again, with like these other players, you got to figure out, okay, what's the medical stuff going to look like here? How healthy is Von Miller going to end up being? He missed a lot of time back in 2023. He was better in 2024, but he's not quite the same double-digit sack guy he was in his prime. But if you get 5 sacks and it's not crazy expensive and it's like third down pass rush reps, that's valuable. Other cut candidates here. I'm cheating. I'm going above 10. It's my show. I do it like all the time. You guys should know by now. If I say 10, it might be more like 15. Or in this case, almost 20. Zadarius Smith, Draymond Jones, Nico Autry, kind of some hybrid stuff there. Like the Seahawks made Jones an outside linebacker. I think it's a terrible fit. I want to put him back at DT. Autry can do both, coming off a suspension. Zadarius Smith is like a really good number 2 edge rusher. Still getting up there in age, though. Not the biggest names, but worth mentioning, too. Let's go to cornerback Jair Alexander here. Now, Alexander already been reported by ESPN, too. This was after the NFL and Athletic did their lists there. Probably not going to be back. I think there is just general frustration with Alexander in Green Bay. $25.48 million cap hit. Packers save 6.4 or 17.12 after June 1st. It's tough to have a guy who, over the past couple seasons, just hasn't been available. 7 games in 2024, 7 games in 2023, all 16 in 2022. When he plays, he's still been pretty good, but he's been really banged up, and at times, he's kind of a head case. Remember the story, I think it was last year, of him going out for the coin toss against the Panthers and just like wasn't supposed to be out there and like made the wrong call and tried to get the ball when they didn't want him to, and he's just like, yeah, he went rogue. You can't have that on a football field. The other issue is I'm looking for like a reliable vet to come in and be a stopgap option if Diggs misses time. Maybe 2 injured guys would end up working out for you. Maybe 2 hurt guys equals 1 healthy guy. Now, when it comes to the offseason, whether it's cut candidate, trade, free agency, whatever, name a player who you want to add this offseason to the Cowboys roster. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Jonathan Allen is next up. There's been some buzz that, the Commanders might go after Oso Odigizua, which I find weird because they have Daron Payne, and they have Johnny Newton, and they have Jonathan Allen. Money is an issue here, too, though. $22.5 million cap hit. The Commanders saved $16.35 million with their release. Allen is getting a little bit up there in age. He missed time this year, but he's always been good. Like his worst year, prorated out, is better than any year Osa's had, for example. So if the Commanders do move on from Jonathan Allen, he is at the top of my list. He has a 3 technique. He can stop the run. He can get pressure. He is everything I think this team really needs, especially if they lose Osa at the 3 technique spot. Javon Hargrave is next up here. Bit of a unique situation because the Niners already said that they were going to release Javon Hargrave after June 1st. That'll save them a little bit of money. He was also common thread on this list, right? That's why guys get cut for a reason, because they're not worth their current contracts and they don't want to get restructured or extended by their current teams. He missed a lot of time this past season. Hargrave has actually been one of the very rare, I call them 4 contract players. And he's only going to be just turned 32 years old, by the way. But he spent an entire contract's worth out in Pittsburgh. Spent an entire contract's worth out in Philadelphia for 3 years. Made it through 2 years in San Francisco. He's got the stuff I'm looking for. If you can get even just 2023 version of Hargrave, that's got a lot of value to me. Grady Jarrett, the Falcons defensive tackle. We're back. This was more of a Dan Quinn era rumor, but it makes more sense than ever now for Atlanta because of the contractual obligations they are now running into. $20.38 million cap hit. They save $16.25 million with a release. In an ideal world, they work out an extension and take that base salary, make a signing bonus, and push somebody down the line and keep him for 2 or 3 more years. But he's getting up there in age. The production has kind of fallen off. Might not be viewed as good of a fit as he was in some previous regimes. But the common trend I keep coming back to when I look at what the potential free agent defensive tackle market looks like, I think you can find somebody. We'll break down free agent defense targets here later. There's a lot of defensive linemen I think can help you out. So of these 3 names, pick a defensive tackle. A for Jonathan Allen, H for Javon Hargrave, or J for Grady Jarrett. You want one of those 3 guys? Who is it? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. little bit more convo here on the defensive line. If you lose Osa because he's too expensive, okay, it's fine. I get that. I'm not going to crash out over it. I need then 3 more players, and one of them has to come through free agency, probably 2, and 1 through the draft. Some other notable defense tackle cut candidates: David Onomata, again a Falcons defensive lineman. Maybe he fits, maybe he doesn't. Larry Ogunjobi's in that mercenary stage. Raekwon Davis' size actually does fit what Matt Eberflus has had at times in the NFL. He could be a possible option for you. Always like Dalvin Tomlinson. I'll make note of Sheldon Rankins. He was a disaster for the Bengals to the extent that he missed a lot of time with an illness. I don't know if it was an illness or a don't come around the team anymore stuff. There was lots to be vetted on that front. Now, we will have more Cowboys free agency, off-season coverage for you right here on the channel. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/CowboysTV. Finally, it is a Matt Eberflus player. That is Tremaine Edmunds, the linebacker here. Edmunds is, I think, had higher hopes in Chicago than what they've gotten so far. I asked our Bears host, Harrison Graham, because NFL.com also mentioned TJ Edwards, and that seems really unlikely. He's on a pretty team-friendly deal, so it seems like it's not going to happen. Edmunds has been, quote, contract is very good and has been pretty underwhelming. Bears can save a bit of money there. The tackle numbers have been solid, but you'll notice some of the splash plays have gone down a little bit. The TFLs have gone from 7-6 in 15 and 13 games to 5-3. The depth of target's kind of gone the wrong way. The coverage stuff, frankly, hasn't been as good. Here's the bright side specifically for Tremaine Edmunds. Even though he has been in the NFL for several years now and has made it through his entire rookie contract with the Buffalo Bills and spent 2 years in Chicago and was a 2018 first-round pick, he's 26 years old. There are prospects in this year's draft older than him, which is an insane statement to think about there. If he gets cut, I think he's a top option because of the connection and probably the likely cheapness there. But maybe he stays in Chicago. Who's to say? We will have more coverage for you, and I'll have it on my Twitter as well. Go follow me at What's Going Downey.